Hey, thanks for joining us on this Monday, the 28th day of November 2022. Stay tuned for about at least 5, maybe 7, 8 minutes as we look at Bible bits with Tim Keller. He's going to be talking about hospitality. Now, it's not your leave the light on for you at the Motel 6, nor Martha Stewart's perfect way of dining. In the ancient days, weary travelers came along the road and they were given 2 days of hospitality. Some were just given a meal. Tim's going to talk about this, and we might pause it in the middle of the tape here or session because it does border on the line of social justice, which is a very, very fine line topic that most pastors and churches are now shying away from because of course, the woke agenda. This is not woke, but it does make sense in a biblical way. So let's listen to what Tim has to say and take a look.
Because you were aliens in Egypt, and you were wanderers in the wilderness. You were weary wanderers, and you would have died out there. But I clothed you, I fed you, and eventually I brought you home. So you were no longer strangers. I brought you home. You live only by my hospitality. My salvation, says God, was hospitality. If you've been saved by my grace, then you are the recipients of life-giving hospitality, my spiritual hospitality. And therefore, because you were strangers, you were aliens, see, you were weary wanderers, and I saved you with my hospitality, now you turn around to others and do the same thing. So that's a much more powerful basis. But not only that, did you hear what it said there in Deuteronomy 10? God also has blown the scope out of it. See, ancient hospitality was just foreign travelers for 2 nights. But God says to be hospitable means care for the orphan and the widow, your own poor, and care for, when he says strangers and aliens, he's talking about immigrants, people who've come here from other lands, refugees in many cases, or people from other lands. And when he says that's your hospitality, that's not just travelers for 2 nights. This is what he's saying. If you have the world's goods, the poor are like weary travelers. The immigrants and people of other ethnicities and races who have moved here without money, without power, without connections, you are supposed to spend yourself. In other words, what God is saying here is not that hospitality at this point is being redefined, not that it's less than bringing people into your home. It's still that, but it's much more. It means to take your possessions, take your things, take your money, take your goods, take your home, and spend it on people with less of the world's goods than you. You're supposed to be so open to the outsider, so open to people who are strangers, so open to people who don't believe like you, that don't look like you, and that don't have the world's goods, and you are supposed to be hospitable to them because they're like weary travelers. Wow. That's hospitality? Yes. And when you actually get to the New Testament, if anything, the promise of hospitality is ratcheted up even a little bit more, and we see.
So that's very transformative. Now, again, like I said, borderline social justice, but yeah, he talks about, can the hospitable be liberal? Yes. But can they be conservative? Yes. So it's not so much a political party, but when you think about this is the cry of Build Back Better, the Robin Hood robbing the rich to give to the poor. However, if you look to the real idea of the reset, it's to eliminate the elderly and abort the babies and the poor and the misfits and those that are a cost to society. And really it is to make them rich. So it's a genocide of keeping only 500 million people alive. And so they are the ones that are preaching that social justice woke garbage, is really the ones who are pocketing and lining their own pockets at others' expenses, what we call charlatans. However, what Tim says does make sense. This would transform the world if we truly lived a biblical life, even to those who are non-believers.
Here in this verse, Because this verse says, do not forget to do hospitality. Don't forget to love the stranger. For by doing so, some people have entertained angels unawares. And Bill Lane, in his commentary on Hebrews, says that's a fascinating little statement. Well, you know what it's saying? It's saying this. For Christians, the expectation is that God will play a significant role in the ordinary exchange between guests and hosts. And this expectation lends to hospitality a sacramental quality. The reference to those who entertained angels without knowing it reflects the writer's sensitivity to the numinous qualities of hospitality. It throws into bold relief the element of surprise that is stressed in the biblical accounts, as with Abraham and in Genesis 18, when the stranger received was God's special envoy, as with the Emmaus disciples in Luke 24, who discovered not that they had just unknowingly taken in an angel, but the Lord himself. Now here's what this means, sacramental. This is very, very interesting. What is a sacrament? Baptism, the Lord's Supper. Well, what is a sacrament? Common stuff like water, bread, wine. Common stuff. You get it anywhere. See? Nothing special. And yet, when dedicated to God, when used by God, it's a vehicle. That common thing is a vehicle for God's power and grace coming into our lives. And in some ways, that's what hospitality is here. That's the promise. You know what that means? To take somebody out for coffee and to listen to their problems. To meet somebody new who's different than you in your apartment building and invite them into your apartment. And just listen to them. And just welcome them. That's not social work. That's not counseling. That's not spiritual direction. You're not a trained spiritual director. You're not a trained counselor. You're not, this is, there's no technique involved. It's just common. It's just get together over coffee. And yet God, according to the text, can work powerfully in that.
Amen. Because really, that is taking communion to the next level. It is taking it outside the church to people who don't know God. And though we shouldn't take communion unworthily, we definitely should bring Jesus to people so people can know Jesus and then decide to communicate, to have something in common with him and commune. So that is today's Bible bit. Please leave a comment below and tell us what you think. I'm sure there'll be a little controversy here and there on that one. And also, so hit subscribe. You know, we miss you, so don't miss us. Or vice versa, right? Yeah. Have a good day. God bless you. And thanks for tuning in.